What is going on today, guys? We are going to be doing a reinstall of tape on a poly thin skin unit right here. I want to show you what it's like, how I do it quickly. It only takes me a couple minutes to do it, and you might be struggling, might take you a little bit more time, so this video is important. This video is sponsored by Lord Hair. Please make sure you go check out the link below and use my discount code for a discount off of a new order from Lord Hair products. Now, let's jump into the video. So the first thing you're gonna have to do is obviously get your hair system off your head. You're gonna have to have tape. You are going to have your hair system, and I actually like to use a mannequin head. I have one, which you'll get to see in a minute. You'll see how I'm actually dexterously using tape and cutting it and all of this kind of stuff. So let's jump into the video, shall we? All right, guys, so we're gonna get going on reinstalling the tape on this unit. So I just got done washing my head, cleaning this, and pretty much we're ready to go. But I'm going to blast this. The first thing I always do is blast it with some heat just to make sure I dry up any moisture that's currently on it. Now, one way you can tell, make sure that your unit is actually clean, is when you put your hand on it kind of like this. Feel if there's any sticking points. That means that there is a little bit of residue of glue on there, and if that is the case, it's not gonna stick as well as it should, the new tape adhesive. So I can feel like there's a little bit, there's some back here. So I'm actually going to take a cotton ball and clean it off real quick. All right, so we just go like this right here. And you see how there is a little bit of lint sticking right there? That means that there is a little bit of adhesive that is still stuck on here. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pick this up. This is the easiest way to get like a adhesive residue off. You just run a cotton ball over it like that right there, and it kind of picks up on where the adhesive is. And as soon as it stops actually grabbing, that means that it's clean. And now I don't feel the adhesive anymore, so we are good to go. Now, things to note with this hair system right here, some of the things that we got to work with is there is actually a little hole right there, so we got to be careful about that. And other than that, it's getting a little bit thin at spots. There's a small little hole developing right here, and there's a tiny rip right here on the back, if you can see that. So it's just things to be mindful of, things that we want to work with as we are working with the unit. So I use personally ultra hold tape. Now it comes in different thicknesses. This right here is 3 yards of, I think it's maybe 3/4 of an inch. This is 3/4 of an inch, and this is 1/2 inch right here. So you can see that this one is wider. I like it because it gives it a little bit more hold. Now, how do I actually cut my tape? How do I kind of go about doing this as I'm moving along? Well, I use a razor blade like this right here. You can use a utility knife. You can even use a pair of scissors if you want. This is just the way that I personally do it. The first thing I personally like to do is I like to do the sides. And what I like to do is I like to run along from basically right here, which is kind of the start of the front, if you will, and run all the way down the back. And all I do is I just take the razor blade and I cut through the tape like so. Put the tape down, and I'm gonna take off this tape backing right here. So as we can see, pretty much perfectly lined up on the side. Now I'm gonna do this other side right here. I'll do it in the way of the camera so you can see a little bit better. Now it's hard to do it with the tape facing the camera because I'm actually blind, but this should do. All right, so grab the tape, cut through with your knife or scissors. Let's take a look. Looks pretty good to me. It's not perfect, but it's gonna be good enough. All right, there we go. So we got piece 2 done. So now we have the sides done. You can see both of the sides are done. So now the next thing I like to do is the back. I like to do the front last because, well, one, I'm gonna use a liquid adhesive. I've been using liquid adhesive lately, but also because I just get a little bit more practice when I move in the back. So for this right here, I like to actually use smaller strips. So I'm gonna actually like pre-cut some of these before actually going in and putting it on the unit. So what I do is I take this and I put it up against the desk. What I do is I just go like this and plop it. oops, plop it. And I just do this multiple times. All right, so now we are to the back of the unit. I'm gonna place this as close to the edges as I can. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to get it placed just right. In the back, it's not as important, I don't think. You know, it's okay if it's not like perfectly lined up. If you do want it perfectly lined up, what you can do is you can actually cut the tape in half, like directly here in the center, and make it so that way you can actually kind of like semi-turn the tape, which is a really great way to handle corners. But one other thing that you can do that not a lot of people know about is, and I'm going to do this right now, I'm going to demonstrate it. So this right here is the biggest, you know, turn, if you will, in the hair system. This is the tightest like diameter of turn. So as you can see, it's kind of coming over the edge of the hair system. So what you can do is simply fold it back into the hair system and follow the curvature. And you can see that now it is actually perfectly following our line that we desire. So I'll do that again just to demonstrate. So, all right, so this one is obviously over the edge. You can see it right here. I'm gonna fold it up. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna peel it back. Boom, see? And now it's perfectly along the edge of the poly, and it'll stick nicely to your head. The one disadvantage to not getting it perfect is it can feel like it's gonna come off, or it wants to come off, because there's that space in between your actual poly that is gripping with the tape to your scalp and what is like just loosely hanging on, and it can feel really annoying. I personally don't like that feeling, and it kind of drives me nuts actually. So this is a really great way to make sure that that doesn't happen. So all you got to do is just, you actually put the poly so that it's over the edge, and then after, all you do is you run it, run it back. Okay, so now I'm gonna put a little bit more tape down at the center of the unit. I'm gonna actually run some from the back up to the front. And the reason I do this is just extra support, and it helps the whole unit stick a little bit better to the scalp boom. And then I'm gonna run 2 more strips like so. Okay, there we go. Now let's take this tape off. So now it's time to put down some of this liquid adhesive. We're gonna use Ghost Bond. And what you need is this right here, this little silicone applicator. This thing is really, really nice. I like it a lot. I find it very helpful. Now this right here is going to be a mix of tape and of silicone liquid adhesive. I've been experimenting with liquid adhesive at the front just to see if it looks better, and I do think it looks better. It's harder to install yourself though, so you know, if you don't have anybody to help you, this is something I still think tape is the easiest way to install yourself, just because it's more forgiving. Like if you don't get it perfect by yourself with liquid, you kind of got to do some of the liquid over again. But with tape, if you're using a scalp protector, but also actually scalp protector makes it a little bit tougher, I'm not gonna lie. But if you're using some alcohol as a way to help you place it correctly, it's pretty forgiving, and you can like essentially reinstall it without having to reinstall any tape. It's forgiving. Not so with the liquid adhesive though. It can be quite cumbersome if you ask me. And you also want to make sure you get all of the adhesive out of the hairs right from the start, because that can really kind of mess up your hairline a little bit. So to speed up this process, what I like to do is hit it with a hair blower. So after that, I like to hit it with one more layer. You might notice that there is a little bit of a white line here at the edge, and that's because the way that I've used the silicone applicator, it's actually kind of dropped a little bit more of the liquid adhesive by the edges, so I'm not going to fill up the edges quite as much as I did this last time. I'm gonna kind of veer away from them, if you will. This is a little bit more for holding back away from the hairline. And we're gonna hit it one more time with a hairdryer. All right guys, so we have this completely ready to go now. It's taped and liquid adhesive. It's taped up, it's adhesived up, or whatever you wanna say. So now it's really just comes down to installing this. So the way that I like to install this, take a spray bottle, use some rubbing alcohol, spray it on the unit, spray it on your head, and then you install. That's that. There we go guys. So that right there is how I tape up my hair system and actually use liquid adhesive up here in the front. Just got it installed. I'm gonna finish up styling this hairstyle right now, but shout out to Lord Hair for sponsoring this video, keeping education inside of the community. And guys, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you soon. Take care.